Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Tiara and I am the owner of Black Teacup. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I love peacocks. So I'm excited to be showing you guys how I created this peacock striped tumbler in this week's tutorial. Everything that I used to create this tumbler will be linked down below. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. We are going to be starting out with a prepped 20-ounce skinny, and we're going to base paint it this Patriotic Blue by Krylon. We will be putting glitter on top of this spray paint, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. After this layer has dried, we're going to take it in for glitter. We're going to be using Semper Fi by Peachy Olive Glitters. And of course, I'm going to be applying my glitter using the epoxy method. Here, I just have a little bit of epoxy on my glove, and I'm going to just spread it around my cup. It's a very, very thin layer. You don't want too much. You don't want like streaks. You don't want any drips. So it really takes a very thin layer. Now for this particular design, we're not doing any type of ombre. So I'm just going to pour my glitter all the way around my cup. Once you have your cup fully covered in glitter, you'll let that sit overnight before we move on to epoxy. So here I am the next day. I went ahead and did my first coat of epoxy. I did not seal the cup because it's just one color. So I just went straight in with epoxy and then using my torch to pop any bubbles. I'll let this spin and cure overnight. And if your cup is not completely smooth, you'll want to go ahead and go right back in with a second layer of epoxy before we move on to the next step. After my cup has cured for a couple days, we're going to use this artist tape to make our stripes. This is kind of like the painter's tape, except it's a little less sticky. I will have the link to this tape down in the description box below. So I'm going to start at the bottom of my cup and kind of use that as a guide for my first stripe and just go all the way around the cup. And you will continue to repeat this process all the way up to about halfway up the cup, using the previous piece of tape as a guide for the one that you're currently working on. I used 6 pieces of artist tape to make my stripes, and these are going to be the outline for our gold stripes that we're going to spray paint on. And we don't want to risk getting gold spray paint on that top section, so what I'm going to do is take some painter's tape and go around the top edge of my artist tape, and then take some saran wrap and cover that entire top section and tape it down. And this will protect our glitter at the top from getting any overspray from the gold spray paint. So for our gold stripes, we're going to be using this metallic finish by Rust-Oleum. And you want to be sure to shake up this spray paint really, really good. If you don't, it'll come out like a watered down gold, and you don't want that. So just make sure you shake it up really, really good. So you're going to start out by peeling off the top stripe and then every other one after that. So you're going to take off 3 total. I didn't want my bottom to be gold, so I did tape the bottom section off as well with some electrical tape. So here's what we're left with, and this is what we're going to spray paint. So again, I'm going to give my spray paint a quick shake, and then we're going to go ahead and spray paint. You have to be very careful with this metallic spray paint because it will show drips. So it's best to do light layers first, and then just, if you need to, go back with the second layer. And here's the first coat of spray paint, and I will let this sit in my garage to dry before adding a second layer. And you want to be really, really careful with this spray paint. It shows fingerprints, it shows all kind of flaws. Maybe I should have chosen a different gold spray paint, but I really like the vibrancy of this spray paint. So just be careful if you decide to use this one. It shows everything. And here we are giving it a second coat of spray paint. Really quick, short burst. I did 2 or 3 coats of paint. After all my paint was dry, I'm going to go ahead and take the painter's or the artist tape off. And you want to do that very carefully. Try not to touch the gold stripes that we just spray painted. I also removed the saran wrap and the electrical tape at the bottom, and here it is. So pretty. That gold spray paint is so beautiful, but you want to go ahead and put it under epoxy as soon as possible. When I tell you it shows everything, it shows everything. So I'm going to go ahead and start with another layer of epoxy. I'll let this spin and cure before we move on to our next step. So I cut out some gold stripes using the textured gold vinyl by Cricut. I cut them out at 1/4 of an inch wide, and I just did 12 inches across. And you'll just want to follow the outline of the stripes that we created with that spray paint. Then you'll take your X-Acto knife and just cut it where the ends meet. And you'll continue this process all the way down. After I applied my stripes, I went ahead and sealed them in with a very thin layer of epoxy, and I let that spin and cure overnight before moving on. We wanted to go ahead and seal in our stripes because when we add our decals, we don't want to be able to see the bumps. So we want a completely smooth surface before we move on. So I got this Peacock image from Etsy. I will have it linked down below. And I printed it out on printable vinyl. And then I also offset it, and I cut the offset out with a textured gold vinyl. So that's going to be the background of my picture. If you don't know how to offset in Silhouette Studio, I do have a video on my channel about how to do that. So I'm going to very, very carefully layer my image. I'll set the printed image on top of the offset image so that it's like a shadow. I'm kind of starting with the top part first. This printable vinyl is kind of thin and it does rip easy. We can't use transfer paper because it will fill up the image. So you want to be careful when you're lining these up. Once you have it where you want, you can just press it down. And once you have your image on there, on that textured gold backing, it makes it really thick so you can easily pick it up and maneuver it. I'm just going to press it down on my cup, make sure it's pressed all the way down. And then I'm also going to go in with these blue roses or blue floral images that I also got from Etsy. And I printed them out using printable vinyl. And I'm just going to place these all around my cup. I let my cup sit overnight, and then we're going to go ahead and go in with another layer of epoxy. After this coat of epoxy, it did have some more rough spots, so I took the cup out for sanding, and here we are for the final layer. You want to sand it and make it smooth before you go in with that final layer of epoxy. And that is pretty much it, guys. Here is the final cup. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching. And also, don't forget to join us over on Facebook. Our group is the Black Teacup Community. We'd love to see you there. Thanks.